Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Cobra Karate. Welcome back to a brand new video. Today is a very, very special day. We're here for a new interview. We're gonna be interviewing the one, the only G-Rod. G-Rod, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing
Thank you.
great.
Thank you
Thank.
for having me.
Oh, of course. Thanks for coming on. You guys don't know who G-Rod is. He was in Cobra Kai season 3, episode 1, Aftermath. He was the guy who well, Johnny came to beat up you, but then you beat him up. So yeah, he was in episode 1. You did great in that. And yeah, I loved you in that role. And you were also in a whole bunch of other stuff. I saw you're in Stranger Things. Pretty sure you're in Better Call Saul. So you do a lot of great stuff. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of your work, and I loved you in Cobra Kai. So yeah, so we'll be talking around 20 minutes. I'll ask some questions about his experience of Cobra Kai, all sorts of stuff, and yeah. So are you ready to start the interview?
Yeah. Thank you, and thanks again. I'm glad we were able to make it happen because
Yeah,
I see you on Instagram
yeah,
and I see you when you go live, and I'm like, let me jump in there and say hello. But
yeah.
we've been trying to make this happen for some time, so I'm glad we did.
Yeah. I see you on my Instagram live. I appreciate you joining us. So,
Of
yeah.
course.
All right. So I'll get into the first question. So, I'll talk about before. I'll talk about before Cobra Kai, before Karate Kid, and all that. I mean, before Cobra Kai, before you went on. Um. So how long have you been doing acting for? Like, how long has your? Because I'm assuming you've been doing it for quite some time. So tell me about your whole how you started your acting career.
So yeah, I started professionally in 2013.
Mm,
My first professional job, which I booked, was called, way before your time. It's called Burn Notice. Um,
mm,
and it was on the USA Network. But I started exploring this, and I started doing student films in '09. Um, and the reason why I got into it is because I kept like getting stopped, and people kept asking me if I'm a fighter, if I'm in the UFC. Um, and I remember, or if I'm a firefighter, and at one point somebody needed a cop. I remember a lady, and she's like, "Are you a cop?" And then, "No, ma'am, I'm not." And then she took off, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" It's just, so a lot of that started happening. And then one of the turning points for me was two things. A positive one, where I had a father and his kid pull me aside in the airport, and they're like, "Hey, can we take a picture with you?" I'm like, "What?" This is before I even started my career, and they're like, "Oh, we saw your fight last night." I was like, "You didn't see my fight," and they're like, "Oh, we're playing low key, gotcha." I'm like, "No, that I'm not playing it low key, nothing." Yeah, sure. And then they're like, "Don't worry about it. We won't make a scene." And they're like this, and they're like, "Yeah, smile." I'm like, "Oh, you're gonna be disappointed." I'm like, "You're gonna be this." I'm not the guy that. God.
yeah.
So it was one of those moments, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, and that was a positive. One of the last, straws that broke the camel's back was that positive one. Then there was a negative one where I went to a store and I tried to return something, and then, long story short, they ended up calling the police because they felt unsafe, and then the
Mm,
cops arrived, and they're like, is he did he do anything? No, I just felt unsafe. So I kept telling myself I got to do something with this mean mug that I have, otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. Uh,
mm,
um, because my exterior looks mean, but I'm not. I'm not. But and I thought to
mm,
myself, well, what can I do where I can be all these different things? I can play a cop, I can play a fighter, I can all do these things, and then still be myself. And I said, oh, well, acting. I can start acting. So that's how it actually occurred to me. And
yeah.
I remember walking into Lori Weinman, who's one of the biggest casting directors in South Florida, and then she's like, "You have a great look." I kept hearing, "You have a great look," and I'm like, "All right, well, book me. I have a great look."
Mm,
So that's how it started. That's how it started, and that's that's what I'm doing with this mug now. I've
yeah.
turned a negative into a positive.
Right.
So
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, that's awesome. So with Cobra Kai, I've curious,
I
were
used
you a
to.
fan of Karate Kid and Cobra Kai? Were you a fan of the stuff before you went on?
I
Did you hear my
was.
question?
Yeah. I was a huge fan.
Oh,
Primarily because when I was your age, um, in my teenage developing years, I got bullied a lot.
hmm,
I was about your frame. I was small, and I got bullied. I couldn't go to school on my birthday because I'd get thrown in the locker. I'd get jumped. So Karate Kid was I must have watched Karate Kid, like 100 times. I was Daniel Larusso in my head. So that it was kind of like a savior for me because that and I'd obviously be cheering on Daniel Larusso in the movies, because I was experiencing stuff that was very unfortunate in my life with in school with Cobra Kai type kids, bullies.
mm,
So I started taking Goju-Ryu, which is a style of karate, which is the style of karate in um, which Miyagi-Do was based off of. A lot of the Miyagi-Do stuff is made for TV. There's no real style of Miyagi-Do, but some of the
yeah.
stuff is based for TV. But some of the fundamentals of what they do is based off of Goju. So I started taking Goju, and I started getting into karate, and I started kicking ass. I started
Nice.
kicking, I started getting suspended from school and that stuff, but it got around very quickly that I wasn't the one to mess with. Um, so was I a fan of Karate Kid? Huge fan. So fast forward, to me being an adult and being able to kick, you know, kick that bully's ass that was in my mind it was full circle, man. It was
Yeah.
like amazing because I was able to take out, or I was able to tap into that kid that was getting bullied early on when I was a kid, and I used that with Johnny Lawrence. Not William Zabka because he's a super nice guy. But when I was Juan and I'm in there logged in and I'm dealing with Johnny Lawrence, I was tapped in. I was there. I was there.
Nice.
It was that kid that was getting bullied, shoved into those lockers that you saw as Juan dealing with Johnny Lawrence.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that I went through that as a kid. It really is because it was very, very tough times for me, and they were traumatizing times for me. But look, fast forward, one of the biggest breaks in my career was Cobra Kai, and one of the most uh, pivotal parts of my career was Cobra Kai, and I was able to use that.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Um, yeah, it must have been amazing. I mean, for being a fan of those movies and then just being in like the exact same universe as them. So, yeah, that's awesome. So I want to talk about the auditioning for Corporate Kai. So,
Yeah.
when did you start? How can you tell me like the whole auditioning process? When you heard about it, how the auditioning go, and how you got the role? And can you tell me about the whole auditioning process for Corporate Kai
Of,
season
of,
3?
of course. So typically, actors, they'll have their agents submit them for jobs, and then they'll get sides. Sides are parts of the script that they'll read for. In my case, I'm a stunt performer as well as an actor, and
Yeah.
sometimes those lines cross, and I'll get booked on a job that includes a bit of both. Um, and this was the case with Cobra Kai. It all started with a text message from Ken Bearfield, who ended up who for season 3, which I was a part of. He was the assistant stunt coordinator, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, for season 4 and season 5, he actually got promoted as a stunt coordinator, not assistant. Ken Bearfield is the guy. You remember the flashbacks with Jesse Cove, um, and
Real.
and and in the past, right? The flashbacks, and then Jesse Cove has like a
Oh
side,
yeah. Yeah. Jessica. Yeah.
and Jesse Cove has a sidekick that's kind of egging him on and being mean and laughing. That's
Yeah.
actually That's actually Ken Bearfield.
Oh.
Um, and you should reach out to him. Great guy, very talented guy, and he
Yeah.
also does acting as well as stunting. So he reached out to me, And he says, "Hey, I'm reading this text. Like, hey, are you available?" I was like, "Yeah." And then we typically for stunt jobs, yeah, I'm available. He's like, "Cool. I'm gonna submit you for Cobra Kai." I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, I'm literally like this. I look at it. I'm like, all right, cool. And then I'm like, I look at it again. At this point in time, Cobra Kai was still on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Cobra Kai. And I think I got in the car. I got to the gym, and I pulled it out again. I'm like, Cobra Kai. What the? Isn't that the dudes that fought Johnny? I mean, sorry, Daniel LaRusso and Karate Kid. I was like, they must be making a show. Meanwhile, season 1 and 2 had already been done. It already had aired on YouTube. I just had no idea. Like a lot of kids and a lot of people had no idea that it was on YouTube.
Yeah.
So I looked it up and I watched one episode and then I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And I'm glad I did, because the scene, the way that, obviously, as you know now, it was laid out. I was dealing with the bully, so I'm glad that, not that I wasn't able, I wouldn't have been able to tap into something else, but I'm glad that I did watch it and I knew what I was dealing with before I put it on tape. We call it tape, but it just means recorded, right? So
Yeah.
he submitted my audition. You still there? You froze.
Yeah.
Now I
Oh,
see you.
sorry about that.
So he submitted my audition. The way it goes is basically he submits to the stunt coordinator. The stunt coordinator submits it to casting. And then I got booked. And the idea behind that is, when it's coming through the stunt department, is, can we find this role that has a lot of action? It has a lot of physical stuff and falls under the stunt department. Can we find an actor who can perform the stunt side of it, but can also act?
Yeah.
In some cases, they can't. So they end up finding somebody who can do the acting, and then they end up finding stunt doubles to perform the work. In my case, you would have had me doing the act, or somebody else doing the acting, and I would have doubled them to do, the yanking out of the car, you know, and
Yeah.
and and, and that physical stuff, the smashing of the window, all that physical stuff, because it can sometimes be dangerous.
Yeah.
So what they wanted to do is be efficient, time efficient, and say, you know what, let's find a stunt actor who can handle both. So I got the call, and then I got the call from Bobby Hernandez, who's a friend in the business, who's also a very talented stunt performer and actor, and he's like, hey man, did you read for this Cobra Kai? And I'm like, yeah. Did you? He's like, yeah. Well, did you read for the role of Juan? He's like, yeah. So we both read for Juan. And then I was like, and he's like, well, let me know if you hear anything. And then he's like, and then like the next day, I think I told him, hey, I booked Juan. He's like, oh, cool. I booked Hector, and he read for Juan, but got booked for Hector. I was like, oh, you're playing my buddy, dude. You're playing my homie on the scene. So we were thrilled.
Yeah.
We knew going in
Awesome.
that we were going to be working together, and we were going to be homies in the scene.
Wow. That's amazing.
So there was authenticity there, and I'm glad they matched us up, because we're truly good friends. I mean, I just spoke to him yesterday. So and he and I will be working together again this month. So that I've had a couple people reach out to me like, oh yeah, man, I'd love the rapport that you guys had, and I mean, it's been nothing but positive feedback. By the way, I get pulled aside still, fans of Cobra Kai, and it's been nothing but positive feedback. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know you guys like knew each other going in. That's awesome. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you both experienced that. So yeah. So how about filming? How long did it take? Was that a 1 day filming thing? How long did it take to film that whole scene of yours? And tell me about the whole filming stuff. How the whole experience was filming on Cobra Kai.
It was multiple days. I think initially, yeah, they wanted to film it all in 1 day, a very long day. So we filmed the inside stuff first, the stuff in the restaurant, and then I remember we walked, because it's been now like 4 years. I remember we walked outside to go film the outside stuff, and then thunder. We heard lightning,
Mm.
and then the director, the first AD, the AD got around to telling everybody that we have to take a lightning break. So I guess when you hear lightning, when they hear lightning, they're supposed to be 30 minutes. You know, per union rules, you can't work. Everything has to be shut down. So um, then I remember somebody coming to my trailer and saying we're not filming it tonight because I guess it got too late.
Hmm.
So at that point, it's interesting because at that point, the guy that was playing another stunt performer that was playing a cop, because the cop, I don't know if I told the story before, so you might be getting it. You might be the only one getting the story. Um, there was still a cop or a stunt performer that was playing a cop. He was supposed to interrupt the fight before the You Dead Amigo. That wasn't supposed to be part of it.
Oh.
Yeah, that was not supposed to be part of it. Um, because I wouldn't have smashed his head with my foot on the ground where you're dead amigo if there's a cop. So
Yeah.
the cop was there to, okay, I remember now. Bobby, who plays Hector, I say, call the cops in Spanish to him. Go grab, he goes and comes back with a cop. I guess there was a cop at the restaurant. He comes back, and then Johnny takes a swing at the cop. That's what it was supposed to, that's what was landing him in jail.
Well.
That's the way it was written. Um, but believe you me, I was much more happy with the way it turned out
Yeah.
because we ended up shooting it like a month later. Um, I think because of scheduling stuff, they ended up moving it like a month later, and then we actually that's where they added that you're dead amigo, and the
Mm.
cop never shows up. So
Wow.
you know that lightning, it worked in my favor. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because if lightning hadn't struck or not struck, but if we hadn't seen the lightning and they hadn't shut down the production, we probably would have shot it the way it was initially intended to be shot, and I wouldn't gotten that "You're dead, amigo," which I still have people roll up to me in the streets,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, you're dead, amigo," and I'm like, "What the hell, man? It's been 4 years, you
Yeah.
know." So it's funny how things work out, and sometimes they just do in this crazy business that we're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that would have been an interesting scene with the cop, but I'm happy the way they did it because the "You're Dead Amigo" is just so awesome, and you did so good. So yeah,
Oh, thank you,
that's great. That's
thank you.
great. So I have two more questions. So I have a question. After you're done with the show, after it came out, can you tell me about the response you got from the fans? Because you've been in Stranger Things, been in other stuff. Um, was like what show did you think you got the most response for from fans? Was it you think it was Cobra Kai? Was it something different, or what was the most response you got from work you done?
Uh, that's a great question. Um, the most still has been second most has been Cobra Kai.
Hmm.
Um, third most or most recently, actually, and I didn't spend a lot of time in Stranger Things. That
Yeah,
was that was a stunt job, right? That was people often come up to me and they're like, "Oh, I wish they had given you lines and stuff like that."
yeah,
It was a stunt job. I manhandle. I'm supposed to manhandle that guy. I don't know
right,
anything about the story. I'm supposed to manhandle that guy, and whenever you have somebody putting their hand on somebody, they're going to want a stunt performer there instead, right? Because the idea is to make it look, if you saw the scene in Stranger Things, I haven't seen it, but I remember I was there. I'm manhandling him like this, and get in there, and it's supposed to
yeah,
look nasty and gnarly, aggressive, but just something as simple as this, you could dislocate somebody's shoulder, you could tear their labrum, their connective tissue. So that's why they have us doing it, right? We make it look, like it's, oh man, look at him manhandling him, but we're selling it bigger than it is. So
yeah.
Stranger Things comes in third. or a close second to Cobra Kai. And it's just crazy because I was only on there. It was 2 episodes, but it was short. It was short appearances. But in first place, it's a show called Power. It's on Stars, which I worked on. God, I like to say 6 years ago, and it was another action stunt acting job. You can check it out if you put in Google, it'll come right up. But
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity. Power is a show you shouldn't watch. You probably haven't watched. It's very dark, very gritty, and that is the number one. That was a turning point. I like to look at it like as Power is like a turning point in my career, and then the next other big turning point was Cobra Kai, because even though Cobra Kai, the response like out there in the world, it's close second to Power. Cobra Kai has had a bigger industry impact on my career. And what I mean by that is casting directors have mentioned it more. People in the stunt community, people in the acting community have all referenced Cobra Kai. So there's that. I think Cobra Kai has had a bigger impact, positive impact in my career than anything else.
Oh, that's great. So yeah, one last question for you.
Yeah, of
So
course.
I want to talk about this for just a quick bit because I thought it was pretty
Yeah,
funny. So a little, I don't know if you remember this, but on the Cobra Kai Kids channel, you did this thing. You did like a Cobra Kai talent show, and you were like a judge. Do you know what I'm talking
yeah.
about? Yeah,
Me and
I
my
just want
daughter.
to. Yeah. You guys both did great. I just want to ask this real quick, just because I remember watching that, and I was gonna join, but I was a little nervous at the time. But um, I just want to say you did great on that, and what person stood out to you the most on that talent show? Do you remember a person that really stood out on that talent show? Because I remember that was a great time.
Yeah,
If
there
there
was
is
a kid.
anyone,
There's a kid I think from the Middle East who did, I think, an acting bit. Um,
yeah,
do you remember that?
I think
Remember
yeah,
him?
I was thinking you're talking about yeah that
And I
guy. Oh
think,
yeah,
yeah, that's the one that stands out the most. And I think we made him like a finalist.
yeah,
I think I think I think he may have won.
yeah.
If I'm
What
not,
was it? The person who was doing the Miguel scene? Was he like doing the? Was he doing like a Miguel scene from Cobra Kai?
I think that's it. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's it. Is that the one that you think was
uh,
most memorable?
yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that guy did great. Yeah, but
I don't think he was older than like 12 or 13.
mm, yeah,
Maybe. Yeah,
yeah,
that was the most memorable
all right, yeah,
because I think he was charismatic. His delivery, because we can there's I guess we'll call it, for lack of a better word, the it factor. I can deliver the lines. I can deliver a line or two lines for you on camera. Um, but the way you attach yourself to that character um, is truly what matters. And in that case, there had to be a little bit of there had to be a little bit of that, the little bit of charisma, because I think that's Daniel Russo is supposed to have that. If um, you feel empathy for the character, for what he's going through, and even still now in the Cobra Kai, universe. Even though he's still now Daniel Russo in the first couple seasons, he's a little bit more of a bully. He still has that charisma.
yeah,
So I think
yeah,
that kid was able to convey that. I think so.
yeah.
And at such a young age, I think he was like 12 or 13. But that I digress a little bit into the acting stuff, but that's like the hardest thing to achieve for
Yeah.
actors, right? Because you have the character here and you have you here.
Mm.
Anybody can deliver lines, but can you truly do this? Can you truly find the way to bring the character and you together?
Yeah.
Because now you're now the delivery is going to be more authentic. It's going to be organic, right?
Yeah.
So it starts off like this: as you're reading it off a piece of paper and it hasn't come to life, you're doing this. You're like finding and finding the groove. And some people do this, and some people do this. My going back to the work that I did on Cobra Kai, I was fortunate to be able to do this and find a good marriage between myself and the character. Why? Well, because of the experience that I had as a young, as a young
Yeah.
kid, your age, between middle school and high school, and getting beat to bits and being bullied. So that's really what it takes. So maybe I hope that kid. I hope that kid pursued. I don't remember his name, but I hope that kid pursued acting, because he had a little something there. I think he was just doing it as a scene for fun and everything. And I'm like, oh man, this kid has something. He should go pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have to look. I'll have to look back on that. I'll have to see
Yeah,
that again.
it's been a few years. It'd be
Yeah.
interesting to know if he did something with it.
Yeah.
But I remember he was. I think it was out of the Middle East or somewhere in over there. Because yeah.
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 But well, yeah. This wrap up the interview. G-Rod, thank you for coming on. Like I said, I'm a fan of your work. I'll have to check out some more of your other stuff. 'Cause I know you do a lot more stuff. So I'll look more into your other work. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And thanks for doing this interview. I really appreciate it. And
And yeah,
yeah,
thank you for having me.
yes,
I am grateful for people like you, that are such fans of this, Cobra Kai Karate Kid universe.
yeah,
I wish you the best. I think I see your energy. I seen some of the interviews that you do. Um, I'm not sure if this is something you want to pursue, even going into your adult years, but you're good at it, and I wish you nothing but much success. And keep forging ahead. What I'm saying. I see this as something that you fit right in. And this is not easy. Getting in front of a camera and doing what you do. I know that you said in the beginning, years ago, you were a little bit shy or reserved about it, but I don't see that at all. I don't see that at all. I see you very comfortable in these are the very tough settings, interviewing actors and stuff. So I wish you well and much success. And I will be watching you on Instagram, and we'll stay connected.
yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for those words. That means a lot to hear. So yeah, thank you for doing this, and thank you everybody for watching this video. And I'll see y'all. I'll see everybody next time. See ya.
Cobra Kai Karate.